friends, when we look around us, we see that every opportunity, every friendship, every partnership rests on one simple skill: the ability to truly connect with people. And yet, most of us spend more time polishing our shoes than polishing our communication. If we want better results in our work, deeper bonds in our families, and more harmony in our daily lives, we must start with how we speak, how we listen, and how we make others feel. The first secret is genuine interest. Not the kind you force, but the kind that leans forward when others speak. People bloom when they feel noticed. When someone talks to you, put aside your inner monologue, stop planning your reply, stop rehearsing your story, and give them your full attention. A sincere listener is rare, and rare things are treasured. Another key lies in remembering that every person you meet carries a deep desire to feel important. You can satisfy that desire with a single sentence, a small gesture, a moment of recognition. Use their name warmly. A name is the sweetest sound to any person. Offer honest appreciation, not flattery, not empty praise, but a real acknowledgement of what they do well. When you do this, you awaken their best self. Speaking effectively is not about showing how clever we are. It's about making the other person feel comfortable, understood, and respected. Ask questions that invite stories rather than simple answers. Encourage people to talk about what matters to them. The more space you give them, the more connection you build. If you want someone to listen eagerly to you, begin by listening eagerly to them. Disagreements will come, as they do with any human interaction. When they arise, avoid the trap of proving someone wrong. Nothing closes a mind faster than feeling attacked. Instead, try understanding their viewpoint first. Say something like, "I might be wrong, I often am. Help me see this the way you see it." You'll be amazed at how quickly tension melts when you show humility and openness. When you need to share an idea or persuade someone, do it with warmth rather than force. People rarely change when pushed, they change when they feel safe. Appeal to shared goals. Highlight the benefits for them. Invite cooperation instead of demanding compliance. Let your tone be friendly, your manner gracious, and your intention helpful. And above all, let your communication spring from kindness. A kind spirit softens words, eases conversations, and opens doors that logic alone can never unlock. Hey, when you treat others with respect and speak as though each person matters, because they do, you become someone people trust, someone they want to follow, someone they enjoy being around. If you build the habit of listening deeply, appreciating sincerely, speaking gently, and understanding generously, you'll find that communicating effectively isn't a technique. It's a way of living that brings out the best in you and the best in everyone around you. When we step into any conversation, we carry with us our habits, our assumptions, and our emotions. Many of these operate silently, shaping our tone and our reactions before we even realize it. One of the most powerful skills we can develop is the ability to pause internally, just long enough to choose our response rather than slide into an automatic one. That small pause can transform a conversation. It gives us room to soften our voice, to pick a kinder word, to adjust our facial expression, or to ask a question instead of making a statement. People feel the difference immediately. They sense when they are speaking to someone who is present, someone who has chosen intention over impulse. Effective communication is not loud. It is not boastful. It is not a display. It is a bridge. And bridges must support weight from both sides. Imagine a moment when someone comes to you frustrated, upset, or uncertain. Your instinct might be to correct them or cut through the noise with a quick solution. But in many cases, the solution is not what they want first. What they want is acknowledgement. A simple "I hear you" or "that sounds difficult" can lower defenses and allow a genuine exchange. When people feel seen, they lower their guard. They become receptive. And only then can your advice, your ideas, or your guidance truly land. Too often we underestimate the impact of our temper. A single impatient sigh, a raised eyebrow, or a rushed interruption can undo the trust built over months. Good communication requires emotional awareness, the kind that notices when your frustration is building and redirects it before it spills into your words. You may not control what happens around you, but you can choose the tone with which you respond. A calm voice, especially in tense moments, becomes a beacon others cling to. It reassures them, it signals safety, and people open up to those who make them feel safe. Another essential skill is the art of finding common ground. Every person, no matter how different, has something in their life you can relate to: a fear, a value, a memory. Look for these threads. When you find them, conversations shift from transactional to human. You might bond over childhood challenges, shared goals, or even a simple laugh about an everyday inconvenience. These small connections create an atmosphere of warmth that invites honest dialogue. When someone realizes, "You get me," communication becomes effortless. But to communicate effectively, We must also understand the influence of our body language. Our words carry only part of the message. The rest is transmitted through our posture, our gestures, our facial expressions. Turn your body toward the person speaking. Uncross your arms. Nod lightly when they share something meaningful. Maintain friendly eye contact, not intense, not piercing, just warm and steady. These small signals tell the other person, without a single word, you matter. I'm with you. And when people feel valued, even difficult conversations become easier. There is also great power in speaking simply. Some people clutter their thoughts with unnecessary complexity, thinking it makes them sound knowledgeable. But real clarity is kindness. When your words are easy to understand, when your sentences are straightforward, you invite others to engage, to ask, to share. Simplicity builds confidence. People feel comfortable participating because they aren't worried about being confused or judged. And when people feel confident around you, they communicate more honestly. Humor, when used lightly and respectfully, can be a tremendous connector. A gentle joke, a warm laugh at your own imperfections, or a moment of shared amusement can break tension instantly. Humor reminds everyone involved that despite differences or challenges, we are all human. But humor must be used wisely, never at someone's expense, never to belittle, and never to dismiss serious concerns. The purpose of humor in communication is to lift spirits, not wound pride. Sometimes the most effective communication comes not from speaking, but from encouraging others to express their ideas. When you invite someone to share their thoughts, especially someone who is usually quiet, you grant them a moment of dignity. You tell them their perspective matters. And often, you will discover insights you would otherwise have missed. People have reservoirs of wisdom shaped by experiences different from your own. By drawing those out, you enrich both the conversation and the relationship. When offering feedback or criticism, be gentle. Harsh words may be honest, but they are rarely helpful. If you must correct someone, do it privately, kindly, and with genuine respect. Soften your approach with acknowledgement. Mention something they do well before addressing what needs improvement. A person who feels respected will listen. A person who feels attacked will shut down. Feedback is most effective when delivered with empathy, not superiority. People live in stories, stories about themselves, about others, about the world. These stories shape how they interpret your words. If someone believes they are unappreciated, they might hear criticism where you intended encouragement. If someone sees you as unapproachable, they might hesitate to share important information. Effective communication requires an awareness of these stories. You don't have to know every detail of someone's life, but you do need sensitivity. Ask yourself, how might they interpret this? Before you speak. A little thoughtfulness can prevent misunderstandings that lead to resentment or confusion. A crucial part of communication is the willingness to admit when you're wrong. It takes courage to say, I made a mistake, or you're right. But nothing strengthens trust more quickly. People respect honesty. They admire humility. When you own your errors without excuses, you give others permission to do the same. The conversation becomes more open, more real, and more human. The best communication tool is silence. Not cold silence, not passive aggressive silence, but reflective silence. A brief pause after someone shares something meaningful tells them you are considering their words. It gives weight to what they said. Silence can also prevent arguments. Instead of reacting instantly to something that stings, pause. Let the moment settle. Many conflicts have been avoided because one person chose dignity over impulse. It's important to remember that effective communication is not reserved for grand speeches or formal meetings. It happens in the small interactions. Greeting someone warmly in the morning, thanking a coworker for their help, asking a family member about their day, offering a supportive phrase to a friend. It is built through consistent small acts of consideration. These moments accumulate. Over time, they create relationships full of trust and goodwill. When you speak, let your intention be to uplift rather than impress. People may admire your intelligence, but they love your kindness. They may praise your accomplishments, but they will cherish the way you made them feel. Approach conversations with the question, how can I add value here? Sometimes adding value means offering insight. Sometimes it means offering encouragement. Sometimes it means saying nothing and simply being present. Another vital element in communication is patience. Not everyone expresses themselves with ease. Some people require more time to process their thoughts. Others may struggle to find the right words. Do not rush them. Give them space. Let them finish their sentences without interruption. A patient listener creates an atmosphere where even the shyest person can open up. And when someone feels heard fully, without pressure, they often reveal deeper truths. Be careful not to dominate conversations. A conversation is not a stage, it is a shared space. If you find yourself speaking far more than the other person, pause and invite them in. Ask a question that encourages them to share their perspective. People appreciate those who create room for them, who don't just occupy the air but share it generously. Communication also thrives on consistency. If your words say one thing but your actions say another, people will trust your actions, not your promises. Speak only what you are willing to stand behind. Follow through. Reliability speaks louder than eloquence. When people know they can count on you, they listen to you with greater openness. There will be times when someone criticizes you unfairly or speaks to you with irritation. In those moments, your response determines whether the situation escalates or dissolves. Resist the urge to retaliate. Instead, stay composed. Respond with calmness. Sometimes saying, I appreciate your perspective, let's talk this through, can completely shift the energy of the conversation. People often mirror the emotional tone you set. If you remain steady, they eventually match your steadiness. Another powerful practice is gratitude, not just the polite thank you, but the heartfelt expression of appreciation for someone's effort, time, or kindness. Gratitude softens hearts. It reminds people that what they do has meaning, and when people feel valued, they listen more openly and speak more freely. As you communicate with others, remember that each person carries unseen burdens. A cheerful coworker might be dealing with private struggles. A quiet friend might be fighting battles you know nothing about. Approach everyone with gentleness. Your kind words may be the brightest moment of their day. Your patience may be the reason they feel safe enough to open up. When presenting an idea, tell a story. Stories bypass defenses. They make information memorable. They help people relate. Instead of saying, this approach will work, tell about a time you saw it succeed. Share what you learned. Let the listener visualize the moment. Stories foster understanding far more effectively than explanations alone. Curiosity is another remarkable tool. When you approach conversations with genuine curiosity, wanting to understand rather than to judge, you unlock deeper insights. Ask open questions. What led you to that idea? How did that make you feel? What do you think would work best here? Curiosity transforms interactions into explorations rather than debates. Treat every conversation as a chance to build, not break. Build confidence, build trust, build collaboration, build goodwill. The words you choose, the way you look at someone, the patience you show, all these things shape whether a person walks away from you feeling smaller or larger than before. By approaching communication as an act of generosity, you make each interaction a gift. And people remember gifts long after they forget words. Every time we speak with someone, we are stepping into their world, even if only for a moment. And that world is filled with hopes they haven't voiced, insecurities they try to hide, memories that shape them, and dreams that carry them forward. When you approach communication with the awareness that each person is a universe of experiences, your words become gentler, your questions become more thoughtful, and your patience naturally grows. This understanding softens your voice and steadies your reactions, creating a space where meaningful connection can flourish. One of the most important abilities in communication is recognizing emotional cues that lie beyond spoken words. A person might say everything is fine while their shoulders slump. They might agree with you while their eyes drift away. They might speak calmly while their hands shake slightly. These small signals whisper truths that their words do not. When you notice these cues with empathy, you can respond to the emotion rather than the sentence. You might say, it seems like something's bothering you. Want to talk about it? That simple acknowledgement can invite someone to open up in ways they didn't expect. People long for others who notice them deeply, not just hear them superficially. Learning to communicate effectively also means learning to manage your own internal storms. No matter how calm you try to remain, there will be moments when frustration surges or impatience bubbles up. But communication is not about suppressing emotions, it's about guiding them. Instead of letting anger spill into your voice, take a slow breath. Instead of allowing sarcasm to creep into your tone, choose clarity. Instead of speaking while irritated, pause and gather your thoughts. A composed response delivered at the right moment is far more powerful than a quick reaction delivered in anger. People respect those who remain steady, especially under pressure. Another transformative skill is the ability to adapt your communication to the person in front of you. Some people prefer direct, concise conversations, others need more context and warmth. Some appreciate playful humor, others respond better to sincere seriousness. Pay attention to how they speak, what words they choose, how fast or slow they talk, and what style makes them most comfortable. This is not about pretending to be someone else, it's about meeting people where they are. When someone feels understood in their own communication style, the conversation becomes smoother and more natural. Many misunderstandings arise not from what is said, but from what is assumed. You might assume someone understood your instructions, while they might assume you meant something completely different. You might assume someone is upset with you, while they are simply distracted. Clarifying assumptions is one of the greatest gifts you can give to any conversation. Instead of guessing, ask, "Let me make sure I understand you correctly." Or, "When you said that, did you mean?" These small clarifications prevent needless conflict and build a foundation of mutual understanding. It's also helpful to recognize when you're monopolizing a conversation. Some people talk more when nervous, others when excited, others when passionate about a topic. But communication is a shared act, not a personal performance. Pay attention to cues that the other person wants to speak: an open mouth, a leaning forward, a shift in posture. When you notice these, gently pass the conversation back to them. Something as simple as, "What do you think about this?" Or, "I'd love to hear your perspective," can shift the dialogue from one sided to collaborative. This creates balance, and balance is essential to connection. When communicating with someone who disagrees with you, approach the conversation with curiosity rather than defensiveness. Behind every opinion is an experience, a fear, a belief, or a value that gave birth to it. Instead of trying to dismantle their viewpoint immediately, explore it. Ask what influenced it. Ask what it means to them. A person who feels heard in their disagreement becomes far more open to hearing your perspective in return. You don't have to agree with them, but you can understand them. And understanding bridges gaps that argument alone never can. Another invaluable ability is knowing how to validate feelings without necessarily endorsing conclusions. For example, someone might be upset over a situation you think is trivial. You don't have to pretend you share their emotion, but you can validate the fact that their feelings are real to them. Say things like, "I can see why that would bother you," or "It makes sense you'd feel that way." Validation is not agreement, it is acknowledgement. And acknowledgement is balm to the human spirit. As you build stronger communication habits, you'll notice how powerfully tone shapes meaning. Two people can deliver the same sentence with completely different effects. Consider how tone transforms a phrase like, "What happened?" It can sound accusatory, concerned, curious, impatient, or supportive depending on the tone. Becoming aware of your tone requires mindfulness. Record yourself occasionally or ask trusted friends for feedback. The way you hear yourself in your head is not always how others hear you. Adjusting your tone can dramatically change how your message is received. Sometimes communication requires courage: the courage to express how you feel, the courage to set boundaries, or the courage to ask for what you need. Many people endure silent frustration because they fear conflict or judgment. But unspoken resentment is poison to relationships. When you communicate openly, but kindly, you prevent bitterness from taking root. Start with honesty wrapped in gentleness. "I feel overwhelmed when," or "It would really help me if," or "I'm not comfortable with." These phrases speak truth without aggression, and truth spoken with warmth strengthens bonds rather than breaking them. There will also be moments when communication calls for reassurance. Someone might doubt their abilities, question their worth, or fear being misunderstood. A few sincere words from you can anchor them. Tell them, "You're doing better than you think," or "I believe in you," or "You handled that well." Reassurance is not empty flattery. It is the articulation of support that too often goes unspoken. People remember those who reassured them in moments of uncertainty. Beyond words, presence itself communicates. When you put away your phone, when you stop multitasking, when you face someone fully, you're sending a message. "You are important enough for my undivided attention." In a world full of distractions, full attention is a rare and powerful gift. And the more fully you are with someone in conversation, the more deeply they trust you. Communication also benefits greatly from the art of reflection, restating what someone has said in your own words to ensure accurate understanding. For example, you might say, "So what you're feeling is," or "It sounds like the issue is." This technique not only clarifies meaning but shows the person that you are truly engaged. It reduces confusion and strengthens emotional connection. There will be times when someone comes to you not for advice, but for comfort. They do not want solutions, at least not yet. They want someone to sit with them in their experience. The best communication in those moments might be a warm silence, a nod, or a gentle phrase like, "I'm here." Trying to fix everything too quickly can make people feel dismissed. Offering presence, on the other hand, makes them feel held. When communicating in groups, pay attention to the quieter voices. Some of the most thoughtful insights come from people who speak less. Their silence is not emptiness, it is consideration. Invite them in. "What do you think about this?" Or, I'd really like to hear your take. This signals respect and ensures that the conversation is inclusive. People flourish when they feel that their voice is welcomed, not merely tolerated. Communication is shaped not only by what you say, but by what you avoid saying. Sometimes refraining from judgment, from gossip, from unnecessary criticism, or from bringing up old mistakes is the most powerful communicative choice you can make. People feel safe with those who treat their vulnerabilities with care. Another profound practice is communicating appreciation, not just for what people do, but for who they are. You might say, I admire your patience, or I appreciate how thoughtful you are, or you're someone who brings calm to stressful situations. Complimenting character touches people more deeply than complimenting achievements. It affirms their identity and encourages them to grow further into their strengths. Even the pacing of your speech plays a role. Speaking too fast can overwhelm people, making them feel rushed or unseen. Speaking too slowly can come across as disinterest. Aim for a pace that is calm but engaged, steady but natural. And remember to breathe. Breath releases tension and grounds your voice, making your communication stronger and clearer. In difficult conversations, focus on the problem, not the person. Instead of saying, you always do this, try, this situation is challenging because. Shifting blame away from the individual reduces defensiveness and turns the conversation toward solution rather than accusation. When people don't feel attacked, they become allies instead of opponents. When expressing gratitude or affection, be specific. Instead of saying, thanks for everything, say, thank you for staying with me when I felt overwhelmed. Your support made all the difference. Specific words sink deeper into the heart. They show that your appreciation is real, not generic. There's also value in recognizing the difference between responding and reacting. A reaction is instantaneous, driven by emotion. A response is deliberate, shaped by intention. The most effective communicators respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. They allow space between stimulus and speech. In that space lies wisdom, empathy, and choice. One of the most overlooked aspects of communication is sincerity. People are extraordinarily good at detecting pretense. They know when someone is speaking from habit, convenience, or subtle manipulation. But sincerity, true sincerity, cuts through everything. It disarms suspicion, dissolves tension, and invites trust. Speak with sincerity, whether offering praise, apologizing, sharing thoughts, or expressing needs. When your words rise from a genuine place, they carry a force that no technique can replicate. Every conversation is a chance to plant seeds, seeds of understanding, encouragement, clarity, respect, or trust. These seeds grow slowly, often invisibly, but they shape the landscape of your relationships over time. By choosing your words with care, listening with intention, and approaching people with compassion, you cultivate a world in which communication becomes not just an exchange of words, but an exchange of humanity. When we choose to communicate with sincerity, patience, and compassion, we do more than exchange words, we shape the world around us. Every thoughtful pause, every moment of genuine listening, every kind phrase becomes a ripple that spreads far beyond the conversation itself. And as those ripples reach the people we work with, live with, and care for, they lift the quality of every relationship we touch. You don't need special talent or eloquence to communicate effectively. You need the willingness to understand, the courage to be kind, and the commitment to treat every person as someone who matters, because they do. If you practice these principles, even imperfectly, you will discover something remarkable. People will open up to you, trust you, support you, and follow you. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through the way you make them feel. Let your words build rather than break, heal rather than harm, connect rather than divide. Speak in a way that brings out the best in others, and you will inevitably bring out the best in yourself.